Ricky Gervais is with us. It's the second season of Afterlife is up on Netflix, and of course he has been renewed for a third season. And we sit here in the middle of this pandemic, and we're all just trying to work it out. How are things in London, Ricky?
I think the same as where are you? New York, aren't you? I think there's comparisons. I'm hoping we're slightly past the middle, but we don't know. The stats are looking the best they've looked. Certainly here, infections are down, deaths are down. We're over the curve. There's the second wave to be coming, so most people are acting really sensibly. Some people are getting frustrated. Some people are just idiots. People say the spirit of the Blitz in the Second World War. You know what? There are idiots there as well that leaving their light on. In the war, military police came around and battered them. So they sorted it out. But yeah, I can't complain. I said at the beginning of this, you won't hear me complain when there's nurses doing 14-hour shifts and risking their lives and dying, and all key workers, all frontline staff, bus drivers, postmen, still doing it. I'm in a nice house with a garden. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I've got nothing. My girlfriend's got a lot to complain about because she usually gets the house to herself because she's a novelist. So I'm home. It's like having a toddler at home where I keep hearing her going, okay, let me just finish this sentence. I'll play with you in a minute.
I'm in your New York neighborhood, and I can't tell you how many people left New York. I mean, it's stunning to see all those buildings dark and the streets dark.
When you've got you've got a long, a state bigger than England, though, haven't you? You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can still be in New York, and you can have travelled hundreds of miles. But yeah, I suppose that's quite a posh neighbourhood, so they've probably got a place in the Hamptons, haven't they?
Right. It's just stunning just to see the streets of New York empty. It's something nobody could ever have imagined. It's just insane.
I don't know what's so different about this. I've never seen anything in my lifetime. I know there's been worse pandemics, much worse pandemics. The 1918 flu, AIDS, or there's it's not the worst by any means. I think the bad thing about it is we've never seen something that hit everyone at once in the world on the news every day.
Right.
I think that's the big difference. And it's like we were watching a kettle boiling. We saw it from the very beginning, and we're looking at our watch going, is it over yet? Is it over yet?
Right.
And usually you read about these things or see them on the news, and then the news bit. But the fact, and obviously the personal sacrifice that you knew here, that you weren't just risking your life, you were risking an elderly relative's life. So everyone luckily took it seriously from, maybe not day one. There were still some militant idiots going, no, I'm still shaking hands. I'm still going around licking people. I'm going to still lick people that if someone can, I'm going to go out into the street and I'm going to lick everyone I see. But most people thought, this is bad. And there was that weird period, the sort of week leading up to lockdown, when it was left up to you what to do. And that's what really scared people. We think, well, I'm allowed to go to this concert, but I might die. And the band is still playing. So what do I... And, that was the scary bit. And I remember I was waiting. I watched the news. I was like, lock it down. Say it's a lockdown. Just lock it down. And they did. And I was glad,
Well, sometimes a bad plan is better than no plans even. You know what I mean? Let's have a plan that we have to adjust later, but let's all
that's going. Right. Let's exactly that. I'm a hypochondriac, so I would say this, but I think let's assume the worst, that it's going to kill everyone, right? Stay at home, and then when it doesn't, let's all feel stupid.
Right.
That's better than the other way round. it's just better than the other way round. So, yeah, and I thought I've had it like 3 times. The first week of lockdown, because I
Sure.
go to Jane. I've got a sore throat. She goes, yeah, dehydrated from drinking. Oh yeah, it could be that. Yeah, I've got a temperature. She actually got a thermometer. She ordered a thermometer. She went, no, you haven't. I went, okay, and I shut up. After the third false alarm, I shut up.
Well, this kind of ties in with Afterlife because Tony's in a situation that he cannot control. No matter how angry or sad he is, this is the situation that he's in. And I think we're all kind of dealing with that now.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. He didn't want it. He didn't want his wife to die. He had the great life. He didn't realize even what a great life he had till you lose it. Everyone's missing things they didn't know they'd missed, right? And the one thing he wants, he can't have. And so, yeah. And I also think that this has made everyone realize what the important things in life are. Right. I've seen people, and look, I call my family more than I did, like twice as often as I did when everything was all right. And I think you do, and you start worrying about things you don't usually worry about, you know? So I think people have valued those simple things, those mundane things, going for a walk, shopping, going in to get a newspaper, going to get a coffee. And the other thing about it is that people didn't, in the first few weeks, I read a lot of people had anxiety and they were having weird dreams because the world wasn't right. The world wasn't the same. And even if you're a loner, right, even if you go and you sit in a coffee shop, you don't talk to anyone all day, you're still surrounded by people. And we're pack animals. So we actually need that. And when that's taken away from us, it's scary. We don't even think we could be brave and everything. But it comes out in the subconscious and you start thinking, this isn't what the world is like. I liked it the other way.
The other way. It's weird that we've figured out, and I think the same thing has happened with Tony in Afterlife, that the important things in life are stuff that aren't even worth talking about. You know what I mean? They're so small, we don't discuss them.
Well, he said there's a lovely line that sums that up when he's talking to Sandy. He says that, you know, people don't get it. They say, oh, if I just did those things I used to do with Lisa, I'd feel better. But I don't miss doing things with Lisa. I miss doing nothing with Lisa. Just sitting there on the couch, just watching television. I didn't even have to talk. Just sometimes I'd look over at her. And that's exactly what we're talking about. It's just, our life's pretty good most of the time. And we don't sit around thinking, what a great life. But when it's taken away, I'll give you another good example. The British government have been trying for years to get everyone to do an hour's exercise a day. Couldn't do it. Wouldn't do it, right? As soon as they say you can only do an hour's exercise a day, people wanted to do 2 hours exercise a day. Everyone's jogging, cycling, because no one wants to be restricted. It's human nature. If someone says you can't do something, you know, I don't care about my hair. I've cut it 3 times in the mirror because I think I'm with
I know this has been this weird pause that we've gotten, that we're forced to appreciate, you know, and also you do a lot of this in Afterlife, is that you kind of figure out doing things for people is much more valuable than we actually think that it is.
It's the only point. It's the only real point in life. Everything, you can't take it with you, you know. And you know, I've always sort of felt that deep down. You know, I was the 4th child of an immigrant labourer. It was when I built a site. My mum was a housewife. We had no money growing up. But I had everything I needed because my mum did everything. You know, she cooked, she sewed, she did the garden, and you know, my dad worked till he was 70. But when he finished work, that was it. His time was his own. My mum carried on. You know,
right?
And I realised that she could give me anything except money. I didn't need money. I didn't even know I was poor till sort of 16, 17.
Right.
Because all the best things I thought, and I don't know if that was out of necessity or when I generally, all the best things were genuinely free. which for me was like learning and joking about with friends and, thankfully healthcare. And I think we've really realized how important healthcare is in this pandemic. And I never want to hear anyone complain again about the National Health Service in England, or do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
I can't believe it's ever in question. And I think that one of the themes in Afterlife was that those ordinary things, those mundane things, save your life. Even having to argue with an idiot at work, it keeps you alive. He had to feed the dog. It stopped him killing himself for a second. I actually made him a local journalist on a free newspaper, because if as a misanthrope and someone who doesn't want to live and hates everyone in the world, that must be the worst thing to do, to go and talk to people with banal stories who want to get in your paper. So but it was also a vehicle for him to feel spoiled, because I made sure he met people with worse lives than him, who he wouldn't have met normally. And it's true. Everyone thinks that their problem is the worst thing in the world. I do a thing in Humanity. I don't know if you've seen it, right? Where I do a routine. I did a routine, right? And it was a routine. It's clearly not true, on Jimmy Fallon, about me taking a flight when the nuts were banned because someone had a fatal nut allergy. And right. I said, I've never wanted nuts more. They were infringing my human rights. Now, in case that ever happens again, what I do now is, before I get on a plane, I rub myself down in nuts, right? And I do the whole routine that someone's dying, and it's ridiculous and ludicrous, right? I got a complaint on Twitter. How dare you? My daughter has a fatal nut allergy. You should never ignore it. You should never joke about food allergies. So, saying that to a comedian. So I tweeted back, I make jokes about AIDS, cancer, famine, and the Holocaust. And you're telling me I shouldn't joke about food allergies. And she said back, yes, but the Holocaust didn't kill children. And that sums it up, because in her head, the worst thing in the world is a nut allergy. And I get that. It's the worst thing in her world. And nothing else compares. And that's same with everyone. No one they know the irony when I joke about famine, when I joke about cancer, AIDS, whatever. But when I joke about their thing, they go, well, no, that's not funny, because I've got that thing. And it's human nature, and it's selfish, and it's narcissistic, but we've all got a bit of it. We can all laugh at some things, but you've got to be brave to laugh at yourself. And I hopefully most comedians can. But yeah, it's a very common thread that people think they're the worst off in the world. They're the worst. Right. My life is the worst.
Well, Tony, the beauty of this, it's the most untalked about, biggest fear for men is that your wife goes before you. Like this kind of unspoken rule is we go first.
I agree.
Before our wives.
I agree. And that's selfish. I want to go first, and that's selfish. And there's a lovely line in season 1 where, Anne says, I'd rather live missing him than have him live missing me. And that's a really beautiful, altruistic thing, because she couldn't cope. But let me tell you a story. We were talking about this. I was on the Jim and Sam show a while ago, and Rich Voss was on. And it was the same conversation that all the guys went, obviously, I want to die first, right? And Rich Voss went, in real life? I went, yeah.
In real life?
He said, I want to outlive my kids.
He's a terrible person. That we can agree on. He's the worst. The great thing about this pandemic is that I was on tour with him, and now I'm not. And it is just such a relief that it's...
Oh, come on, you've got to tell me about that, because I was fascinated. I love the pictures of you all in black smoking cigars, like Metallica's last tour. It was, and then I thought, look at those grizzled old, and then I realised that the average age was the same as me.
Right.
But what was it like? It must have been amazing. Come on.
Yeah. Well, every single night, Bobby Kelly was going to kill Rich. And after a while, I understood, oh, no, this is what Bobby lives for, to be annoyed with Rich, to say to himself, I'm a better person. It's the only time of his life that he could turn around and say, I'm better than this person.
Yeah, imagine that, though. Imagine that's your only claim to morality.
Yes.
You're better than Rich Ross.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? It's that.
Yeah.
Bobby Kelly's the young one, isn't he? He's the young one of the bunch. What's he?
You can't tell because of weight. So it's very, very difficult to figure that out. You know?
Yeah, because we're like a sagging balloon. He's like one that's pumped up.
Yes.
And he's
Yeah. And by the way, he's going first in that tour. But this is also we all know that. But this is
Bobby.
Yeah, of course. He's the funniest. He's literally the funniest person. Now,
right.
The funny thing about comedy is here are these 4 annoying old pricks every single night. And you sit around and you're like, oh, well, we're all terrible. And these are terrible things. And then the love that you get for the audience for saying the same exact things. It's stunning when you really think about it.
But, I mean, let's be honest about this, right? Who wants to see a 25-year-old whining on stage? What have they got to whine about? What's a 25-year-old with a jawline and hair? What are they angry about in the world? I don't want to watch a 25-year-old complaining. I want to watch you guys. I want to,
I was actually thinking the same thing, Ricky. Could the guy who wrote The Office, would he had the experience to write Afterlife? You know what I mean? Like,
no, of course not. No, definitely not. It would have been. Yeah, you can't do that. But it's funny to say that, because even with The Office, I didn't write till I was like 39. It came when I was 40, and I'd won a BAFTA. And the first thing I'd done, and I was sitting home with 2 BAFTAs, one for the show and one for my performance. And I was taking my tie off, and I was sitting there with Jane, and I said, why didn't I do this before? And Jane went, because you wouldn't have been any good. And it's true. You've got to be 40. You've got to come to terms with your own inadequacies, to get stuff off your chest, to be real, to be honest. And I think the only thing I want to be now, right? I don't want to be bigger or richer or win more awards. I genuinely couldn't care less about that. And that's easy for me to say, but I genuinely couldn't. All I want to do is, am I being as honest as I can be? Am I being the bravest I've ever been? That's the only thing that drives me now, genuinely, in something like this, and particularly in stand-up. And every day, I think Humanity was the first time I really felt like a stand-up. Rich Voss would still disagree with me, but and it took me 15 years to get that good, and I think I'm better now. And I think it's the one thing you can get better and better at. As long as you can still, literally stand up and talk. I think it's the one thing that you can get better at, because I want to get into that realm of old people's rights. When, like, growing up, when old ladies said exactly what they wanted. They said they didn't care what anyone thought, but they just said what they thought. And I want to get to that point. And I'm still not there yet, because you still have to weigh up, and it's still political, and you still have to make sure a joke's bulletproof, not just for the night, but for social media in 10 years' time. John Wayne was cancelled 40 years after his death last year. I really do want to get more and more to the point that I go, I honestly don't give a fuck what you think. This is a joke. This is a joke. And that's the other thing that annoys me. So many people now assume, right, that every joke is a genuine window to the comedian's soul, that's the giveaway, what they really think. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I do anything that makes that joke funnier. I'll pretend to be right wing, left wing, no wing. I'll pretend to be smart. I'll pretend to be dumb. I'll do anything that makes that joke funnier. So it's an absolute nonsense that they think they've got some sort of psychoanalyst over here going, oh, no, he meant that one. You know what? I might have meant it, but I might not. And it's not for me to tell you even, because that ruins the joke. Why are we trying to work out, is that serious? It's a fucking joke. What do you mean, is it serious? It really annoys me.
I know. It's so crazy. And, you know, if you look back at like Peter Sellers, now they're acting like, well, this is anti-French or this is anti-Indian in the party, you know? And I'm like, God, I rolled on the floor watching these movies. They are hysterical.
Also, but it's gone the other way now, though, hasn't it? It really has gone the other way. That usually this sort of the moralist outcry was usually a middle-aged sort of Christian right saying you can't say that. Now it's like young left with dyed red hair, and you know, it's like what it's just they've just swapped it. It's just outrage for outrage's sake. And you know what? 50 years ago, if someone said that joke's offensive, I'd have said, "Oh, why?" And I'd have listened. Right now, I go, "Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, everyone's offended. Move on. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Right?
It's just not worth worrying about anymore because there's so much faux offense. It's not my job to work out what's genuine and what isn't. It's just not worth my trouble anymore. So it's crazy.
We're talking with Ricky Gervais. Afterlife finished second season in time to get out. It's on Netflix now. Third season will happen sometime after this odd time that we're over. Do you already know where the arc of this story is going, Ricky?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I suppose, you know, I don't know. I've written a quarter of it, but yeah, you've got it sort of mapped out, and you know the themes. They're just coming together, and obviously, you know all the characters with some new ones, and you're tying up stories, or at least consolidating stories. And the beauty of this is when you've got a world like this with so many characters, and you know so many tram lines to go down, and you know, and you can go off road. There's so many options, and so you can really make them all blend, just like real life. Paths can cross, and it's easier to do because you don't have to explain yourself so much. You know, the third season is dangerous, but you know the second season should be the easiest in a way because you haven't run out of ideas. You don't have to explain yourself anymore. You know who you're writing for because you know the actors. You know, but my third season would put me on 18 half-hour episodes. That isn't even an American first season of
right? Yeah, it's
sitcom.
true. Yeah,
right. It seems like I'm milking it, and then I go, no, hold on.
Right.
They did 300 episodes of The Office.
Right. Well, that's because here we don't have the motivation other than how much money we can make. It's not like, oh, is there an arc to this? You know, does this have to tell a full story? We're like, how long can this go on?
And also sometimes you don't have that same restriction and commitment because most sitcoms you can watch any episode out of.
Exactly.
They'd have to be in order. Whereas you've sort of got you've got to watch this a bit like 3 long movies, I suppose, because you know, and also I couldn't do that model. I couldn't do 20 episodes of something. Not doing it all myself. If I had 20 writers, yeah, maybe. But I don't quite do that because it's not as much fun for me. You know, I sort of my buzz is doing it all really, for better or worse. I'm not saying I'm the best person for the job even, but it's my job, you know. When people say you should do it like this, I go, no, you should do that in your sitcom. You know, it's like
Isn't that the worst tweet or emails when someone tells you, "Oh, why don't you do?" And you're like, "Oh, we're not doing this together," you know?
No, I know. Well, it's I remember once I was annoyed in one of my films that we had to do a focus group after they do that thing because it was a studio film, and I spoke to Christopher Guest, who was the only sort of my mentor when I first got in it, and I went, I don't think I should do it, and he just went, why would you? He said, if you're going to take their opinion now, you might as well write it with them next time.
Right.
And I just thought, but some people do it. Like after season 1, as a compliment almost, people were saying you shouldn't do a second season. That was perfect. And I think, well, hold on, that's my job. I can't.
Yes.
I can't just do it an hour. So
Yeah.
Don't ever do that again, mate. That was perfect. Well, thank you, but I've got to because that's my job. That's what I do.
Well, you're so unusual in the way you work. When you invited me and Norton to do stand-up with you, I had never seen anyone who prepares a special the way you went out and did 45, 50 minutes of material that was untested in front of a theater. And when I went down to the cellar, and everyone was like, "Hey, how was that show?" And I go, "I never saw anyone work like Ricky. Here's what he does." And everyone was like, no, you gotta do it 2 or 3 minutes at a time and then put it together with a puzzle. Did you do that? I go, he does it his way.
Yeah, I mean, you should say it wasn't very good, but
it was the bravest thing I ever saw. You had little notes on your hand on the floor. It was insane. Yeah.
Well, I think I can do it that way. The reason I started doing it that way was that I was already famous when I sort of started doing stand-up, and I try and do 3 minutes in a club or a pub unannounced, and the expectation was too high for my talent. I wasn't very good. So they'd say, he's on the telly, we love The Office, he must be the best stand-up in the world, right? so I thought, right, I've got to stop that. That's doing me no good at all. So what I did, I started doing shows where for a couple of dollars, they'd come along, I'd have a couple of mates, and we'd fuck about, and it was rubbish, but they loved the rubbish because they knew no one else would see that show. And then you save the bits, and some bits get a laugh, some don't, and that's how I do it. So I've got a real audience seeing a real show that's not very good for not very much, and that to me is it works better than the other way around. It also makes the show slightly more coherent from the beginning because there's a theme.
Yeah.
But that's the way it's not arrogance. It's that that's easier to do for me, I think.
I thought it looked exhausting. I thought to go through that 45 minutes that you did, it looked like it was an exhausting night.
Well, it is because I'm a performer. I want them to be laughing all the time. Yeah. I don't want them to be thinking we're guinea pigs and this isn't a very good show, but it's for Ricky. I want them to be thinking, oh, that was shit, but it was funny because he said it was shit, and we saw some of which. So I try and make that the event that this is. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've invited them in to like a private behind the curtain, as opposed to pretending it's going to be a show and they're slightly disappointed. So, in fact, you get to a point where the warm-ups are more fun than the real thing. Right. Because anything can go and you can talk about it and you can deconstruct it and you can roll that laugh more in a smaller club. And then I do an arena and it's got to be as good as if it was on the telly. It's like everything's got to be telly ready. Everything's got to work. And it does by then, because if you do it 100 times, you can play anywhere. You can play 200 seaters or 20. It doesn't matter. But I do like that initial 150 people seeing something that they think they shouldn't. I love that. I can't wait to do that again. I can't wait for this to be finished so I can start again. That feeling.
Well, it's always great to talk to you, buddy, and I'm glad that you're well and you're safe. And we'll see you on the other side. All right,
Yeah,
let's
I can't
all
wait
get
to
together.
hook up with you grizzled old bastards like me.
Yeah,
In real life, or you, or you do your misfits.
we really are, but
Norton,
found a place, right?
who's the king of the misfits? Is it Norton? Is it he's like the? Is it would he be your emblem? You know that because because the shape of his head and the
Well,
anger that comes
well,
from
it's Norton, obviously, Dave Attell, it's Colin Quinn. It's just these really
yeah,
beat
yeah.
down life. And, luckily for Patrice, he died young. So that everybody has this thing of, oh, if Patrice was here, he would blah, blah, blah. But, who knows what would happen.
I was watching a bit of his yesterday, actually. The bit about when he was he was disappointed with Obama because he thought by now he'd have white slaves.
He
was the best. He was the best.
Yeah, that's an evergreen piece of material. There's no doubt about it. That'll get a laugh 100 years from now.
He was great. Brilliant. Well, that was fun again. That's scratched an itch. I can't wait to do it in person. See you.
All right.
Yeah, see you on the other side.
See you soon, buddy. Take care.
Cheers, man.
Afterlife season 2 is finished, and there will be a season 3. See you next time, Ricky. Take care.
Cheers, man.
Peace.
Bye.
Ricky Gervais. That was cool. That was really, really cool.
That was so cool.
Yeah. I really I got to see if we can get a hold of Bobby Kelly. I like that he was following the Creeps tour the whole time.
Yeah, me too.
What was he calling this? Grizzled old bastards or something? It was very, very funny. And he's like, then I remember I'm as old as you. I'm telling you, until this pandemic, this is crazy for me even to think. I was part of a really fucking hot comedy tour.
I know.
I mean, I know
Right in
the
the
rest of
middle
the
of it.
world. I know the rest of the world thinks they have problems. But our tour, the second leg of our tour was canceled.
I throw you guys up there with the heroes for that.
Thank you. I think of us as victims, but that's just me. See if you can get a hold of Bobby Kelly because, I know that Ricky had retweeted some stuff about the tour, which was really, really nice when you have this international comedy star, giving you some love online. But to say that he was following along with all the shows and getting a kick out of that was amazing. All right, we got Bobby Kelly on, Vito?
Yes, we do.
Bobby.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey,
Dude.
Gail. How are you?
I was just talking with Ricky Gervais, and he was telling us that he was following along with everything that the Creeps did. Called us 4 grizzled bastards, I think. And this was the thing. He goes, and then you guys are outside smoking cigars backstage like you're Metallica. And I'm still trying to figure that out in my head, whether or not Metallica smokes cigars, or he just thought that we were so pretentious about our shows that we were having celebration cigars.
I don't know. The Metallica thing, I don't know. He doesn't strike me as Metallica.
No, he doesn't. I thought he was just going for the nuttiest thing he could think of.
I think he just wanted to say Metallica.
Here's the thing, Bobby. You put together this great fucking tour that we were having the most fun in the world doing. But your mistake was to do it during a global pandemic. That's the only mistake that you made.
Yeah.
I just thought that we could, you know what I mean? It might be something to get through, like people would like it.
Right.
I fucked up on the pandemic. And if I was going to do this again, I would have done it. I wouldn't do it through the pandemic. I would definitely not.
Okay.
You're right.
All right, we all learn. We all learn.
It was a big
also,
mistake. Yeah.
he also said, who's the emblem of our scene? Who's the person that we would put on our flag? And then he guessed Norton for the New York comics. Who would it be for you? Who do you really think is the person that kind of describes New York comedy more than anybody else?
I would have to say Quinn. No?
I threw in Quinn or Attell, but now that I'm now that I'm thinking about it, it's Bobby Kelly, 100%.
You're out of your mind.
No, I'm serious, 100%. It's Bobby Kelly.
Way. No, I am do you know how much they hated me when I came to New York?
I've heard that.
I used to have so much energy. I don't have any more because I'm heavy. But when I first came here, I used to sweat every show. Like, I would run around and fuck the stool and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And, they hated me, man. The New York comics hated me. New York comics hang. They grab that microphone stand and they hang around. You know what I mean? So, but I think Attell. I think you're right about Attell. Attell is the, I don't know the big word, maybe antithesis. No, is that it? Did I fuck up?
Yeah, I think that, I think that works perfectly. I think your vocabulary. Yeah. Gail, we always talk about Bobby's vocabulary being much better than he thinks it is.
Always.
And he always has the right phrase.
I wish you had the confidence in your vocabulary that we have it.
Yeah.
Well, well, thank you very much. I like to, I like to consider myself a wordsmith.
You are
once in a while, but I think Attell is just so fucking funny, and Colin too, though, because Colin is, Colin. I think a New York comic, a Boston comic, is afraid of bombing. A New York comic takes bombing as like this is part of it. Like it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Boston comics are like, we can't bomb. We can't have 5 seconds of not laughing. New York comics can kind of take a nice hot one and be like, all right, I'll work on that joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was talking about this with Gervais. He invited me and Norton to go and work with him at a theater in New York, right? And what he did is he had like 50 minutes of new material. So he went up for like 20, brought me up to do like 12, went back, did another 15, brought Norton up to do about 12, and then he went back and did another like 25. He had never done any of this shit. He had jokes written on his hands, on his pants. It was the most ridiculous, craziest fucking thing I ever saw in my life. And like, you know, me and Norton, when we came out for our part, we were just fucking swinging. You know what I mean? Like, and then he had to come up and do new material in between us. And when he was done, it looked like he just fought Roberto Duran. You know what I mean? Like, I just saw. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that is. That's a weird thing, though. To come out with new material. But I do that. I mean, to bring you two on a show. I like when comics do that. I like when comics have balls. Like a guy like that who could definitely get somebody a light swinger to go out there and do something. And he can look like a superstar. He got you two to go out there. I think that takes balls. Like Bird does that too. Bird would take. And I got to give Dane credit because Dane used to like me in front of him because I made it so hard for him.
But then you bring Norton with you, so that's cheating. You know what I mean? Like you're all right. A lot of people, Norton, a lot of people have written in. A lot of people have written in and said antithesis is the opposite. So both bad vocabulary.
I've always said that about Bobby. He has bad vocabulary.
I think you've said the opposite about Bobby, but we could rewind the show, don't we? Do we have that button? Do we have a button?
No, we don't have a button for that. Too bad. I'd love to.
Vito kept calling me a bad word when he was bringing me on, and I don't like it.
What was that?
So, he kept calling me a fag, and I didn't like it. He's like,
that was his introduction.
He goes, we got a fag, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like,
Man.
dude, no, we get a fag. And I'm like, stop it. I'm married. My son is like right in the other room. I'm married.
I think he meant cigarette. Now, I did the Kelly and Cultus show the other night. Bob, you guys are doing this every night now during the quarantine.
Doing it every night except the Sabbath, my Sabbath. Yeah, every night, 7 to 8 every night. And I loved what you did. Because here's the problem: is you don't know when to end the show sometimes because you're just talking,
Right.
and you and it was so perfect. You looked up at the clock. I think we asked you a question. It was almost like, "Hey, what about?" And you go, "Hey guys," you go, "Hey guys, it's 8:01. I told you 8. You got an extra minute out of me." And you hung up the phone. I, in a million years, wouldn't think of doing that. It's so perfect. I was like, that is the fucking... Cause Mike goes, is he gone? I'm like, fucking yeah. I told him 8 o'clock. It was 8:01. If it was 8:02, it wouldn't have been funny.
What I've learned from doing that show with you guys is I'm going to try to become a better personal friend to you when the quarantine is over. I'm going to meet you somewhere for social time. He likes social time, Gail. I said to him, I go, we'll never do anything as good as playing a theater, a casino. You know what I mean? Like anything else will be dull.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right, but I mean that I would definitely take you up on some social time. Gail.
What if you just recorded your social time?
All right. That's nice.
Then it's both.
If you recorded it and then sent it to me, and then I would just sit in like a room and pretend you were there.
I want to tell you, there's a personal thing. The night after my father's funeral, we played Jersey, and then me, you, and Mo and Deb went to a cigar bar, and that was a very relaxing, social, very much appreciated thing. So that was our big social thing, smoking cigars.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice, right? That was a good time.
That was a good time. And then you said, let's get an 8-ball. And I go, Bobby, I can't. I got to leave.
I don't know if I said 8-ball. I would imagine me and you doing drugs together. That'd be fantastic.
No.
Okay. No. Listen, the thing is,
don't want to imagine it.
Yeah, Gail, how are you doing with the baby and the husband in the pandemic?
Yeah, it is definitely, it's a wild experience. And she's 22 months. She just turned 22 months this weekend. And so she couldn't be at a stage where she wants to be out and about and running around. And so, yeah.
And tell Bobby what today is. Tell Bobby what today is.
Today is my 2-year anniversary.
2 years anniversary.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. My mother's anniversary was yesterday to my father.
It's good wedding weather, I guess.
It is.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I mean, she spent it all day at the cemetery because he's dead, but they, she was, I felt so bad yesterday. She was, 35 years married, and he passed away. And then she goes like this to me, "It's going to happen to you."
Oh, my God.
I was like, Mom, I know, it's going to happen to all of us, but do you have the fuck?
You should never talk about it.
Don't bring it up.
Never discuss.
I was like, what the fuck, man? I mean, I'm with my family right now. Could you, jeez. Anyways, that's great. Congratulations. 2 years, a nice baby, and a hot pandemic. Your kid is going to flip out, though. Everywhere is going to be like Disney World.
I know.
And you get to leave.
As of right now, the only place that we let her go and play because it's quiet, there's not a lot of people around, is a cemetery right by my house.
Did you
see Bobby's mom?
We both went for it.
Same. Just let her run around a little.
I spent $350 on a above ground pool. I'm very excited.
Nice. That'll
That's
keep
white.
her busy for
That's
the summer.
white trash. Yeah,
It's
white
white.
trash.
I went to Job Lots. I bought everything, every accoutrement for a pool, noodles, everything. I'm setting the pool up tomorrow. I'm letting my kids' hair grow. It's going to be like 1972 at the Kelly Villa all summer long. I'm going to get a boom box. We're going to be listening to some Billy Squire.
All right. A little later than 72, but okay, Bobby. That's it's perfect.
Hey, listen, I'm bad with music and words.
Can I tell you, this Skelly Coulter thing must be just taking off. I mean, he's out. He's buying pool noodles. He's just having the time of his life during this quarantine.
Well, I mean, it's actually, believe it or not, the Patreon. It was funny. I was getting shit from Cumia and Luis Gomez for having my Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
For having a Patreon, because I guess that's a bad thing. And, trying to get people to pay for my shit. But the fans have been really good, and they signed up for it, because it's only the price of a caramel macchiato at Starbucks. And we do 6 shows a week, try to give them a ton of stuff. And
it's a terrific show, and you have great guests all the time.
Yeah, it was crazy. We had you. We had Sully from Godsmack. We had David Tell, and we had Michael Che. We had Michael Che on the next night after you.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was just a fun show. Keith Robinson came on. He doesn't know how to use his fucking iPad, and he has headphones. He goes, he fixed his headphones. He got headphones from like the 80s and put them on. I don't understand.
Hey,
it was one of the funniest episodes.
Bobby.
Yes, sir.
I said I put you on for 10 minutes. That's it.
I love you.
All right. It's the Bennington Show. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody.